Welcome once again to Dialogue on Public Issues. I'm John Chowning with Campbellsville University. We've recently had the announcement of several new school administrators here in Campbellsville in Taylor County. And today I'm very pleased to be interviewing one of those individuals, Miss Alicia Riggs, who is the administrator with the Kentucky Christian Academy. Ms. Riggs, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am an Army brat who ended her high school career here in Taylor County and then went on to get my bachelor's degree at Eastern Kentucky University. I got married to a local boy, and then together we moved to Florida. While in Florida, we had 3 beautiful children, and I got my master's degree in educational leadership at the University of South Florida. So I have taught every single grade level there is, preschool through college, and I even opened my own school briefly in Florida. My last experiences before I came here, I worked at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital and began a school program there in the hospital.
Now, you were also administrator of another area school years back.
I was.
Tell us about that just briefly.
I was the principal at St. Augustine Catholic School in Lebanon, and so enjoyed that community in that school. A lot of history and tradition in that school. For 5 years I was there right before we shifted and moved back to Florida for a brief time.
Yeah, St. Hay, as we all know it, has a very excellent reputation in this part of the state. Now, at Kentucky Christian Academy, what attracted you to apply for that position when it became open back several months ago?
Well, actually, my husband and I were talking about transitioning back here. He's close to retirement. And I had reached out to Max Wise because I had worked with him in different legislative things while working at Johns Hopkins. And I said, if there's anything going on down there you think might interest me, you know, let me know. And they called me
very good.
for KCA, and we began a conversation. And I just kind of fell in love with the idea of leading this small school forward.
Tell us a little bit about KCA. I mean, the school's been around for a number of years. I think we talked earlier, you're the 3rd administrator since it became Kentucky Christian Academy. But tell us about your work there and just a little bit about the history.
Okay, well, KCA has been around over 24 years, I believe. It started at a small church in Columbia and migrated to Campbellsville and stayed in a small building on New Columbia Road for many years. And then they built a new building, which they moved into about 4 years ago, almost 5, on Old Columbia Road. We are a brilliant star shining in Campbellsville that no one knows about. So it's my job to get the word out. KCA has a program that begins at age 3 and it runs all the way through 8th grade. We have dedicated teachers and staff, and we're just ready to kind of open our arms and embrace anyone who needs what we offer.
What curriculum or curricula are you using now at KCA?
KCA uses multiple curriculum, but the one thing you can guarantee is that the Bible will always be integrated into the work that they do. They use a curriculum, Bob Jones. Since it's my first year, I didn't touch the curriculum. I told the teachers, move forward with whatever plan you had, whatever plan that Miss Eubank had set into place, and we'll evaluate through the year and see if there are any changes that need to be made. So Bob Jones is prevalent, but they're also pulling, these are master teachers. These are seasoned, certified teachers who know what they're doing. So they pull whatever resource they know is the best resource to meet the needs of that particular child.
What type of testing do you do to compare a KCA student to national norms and national standards?
They annually use the Terra Nova test, and I was at the last meeting that Miss Eubank was in, where she went over the scores, and I was blown away. This small school, and these students are scoring way above the norms in every single subject area. So the students are doing very, very well in a standardized format on that annual testing. I like to use them kind of diagnostically to see if there's a gap somewhere. Since it's just a snapshot of learning, I don't like to emphasize too much. But when every subject area shows over the national norm, you realize somebody's doing something right there.
Now you mentioned preschool through 8th grade. Tell us a little bit about how that's structured in terms of the classroom teacher. Do you supplement it with any online resources, technology capabilities for students at KCA?
We have a beautiful school, and we have it split into 2 wings. We have a junior academy wing and an academy wing. Our junior academy has preschool 3, preschool 4 programs, our kindergarten and our 1st grade. Our preschool program, most people don't know, runs year round. And we know that families are working year round and they need good, solid, Christ-centered childcare. So we're so happy to provide that. And our cost for that preschool is right in the bottom realm of the local child care providers. So good. I don't think people know that.
I didn't realize it was year round.
So as soon as I learned that our preschool wasn't full, I was like, why not? Now we're gaining pretty consistently. So our preschool 3, preschool 4 program is just, it's amazing. And like I said, very Christ-centered. And they do have a curriculum that they ascribe to. A lot of early literacy, early learning, a lot of play. You know, play is a child's work. So we have a lot of that going on down there. And then we move into kindergarten and 1st grade. And then when you go over to the academy wing, it's 2nd through 8. We have a very traditional classroom with the teacher directing the learning, but we integrate a lot of curriculum and technology into that. We have class sets of Chromebooks and laptops that our students can use. I was in the 3rd grade classroom today, and they all had their Chromebooks out, and we're in the Google Classroom, and we're learning to find the assignments and how to complete them. It was their first kind of Chromebook lesson, and they were doing great and wonderful things. So all the way up through our middle school program, which Carrie Jo Boo runs that 6th, 7th, and 8th grade with the help of Miss Butler. So we even have some departmentalization going on. The beauty of KCA is we can meet the need of the child in front of us. We don't have any barriers of certain curriculum regulations or mandated things. So we can be very specific to what that child needs.
What's the typical class size or the student-teacher ratio overall?
Well, it's low. And it's beautifully low. Right now, the cap that is set by our board was 20-1. So for K through 8, our cap was 20 kids per 1 teacher. Our kindergarten classroom is 1 student short of that. Our kindergarten and 1st grade are really full. And we have classes full up beyond that. We're at about 120 students right now. Our preschool program, their size is mandated by the state and by their licensing. So whatever the state requires as a ratio is what we follow in those classes.
Do you find, you mentioned grades 6, 7, and 8 are, if I understood, are together with a teacher and assistant under the 20-1 ratio. Do you find some benefit in that? The interaction of the different age groups?
I do. I think multi-age learning is a great and wonderful thing. And I think students teaching students is another great benefit to that. And they're allowed to talk amongst themselves, work as a unit, and then they'll pull apart and go work individually on whatever they need to accomplish per their grade level, come back together. It forms a sense of a unit, a classroom, that's kind of missing in other schools where they're trying to push and move and here, we are meeting their needs, but also retaining that sense of being part of a bigger group.
Do you have any plans to go beyond 8th grade, if I may ask that?
Heck
no
yes,
trick
I do.
No trick questions?
I do. What's so funny is if you look at the timeline of KCA, it started in Columbia, came here, Gail Gapehart nurtured it.
She did.
Loved it.
Absolutely.
Grew it, and then transferred it to Lori Eubank, who loved it, nurtured it, got it accredited, moved it into the brand new building. So there we are in this beautiful new building, plenty of room, all the material we need. So now it's kind of fallen to me to kind of let people know we're here. Kind of like Horton Hears a Who. We're here and we're a choice for you. And if your child needs that, we're here and we want you here. Christ's mission was to serve everyone. So we need everyone in this town to know that KCA wants you with us. So
my impression through the years, and I earlier said that I was on the KCA board back during the Gail Gabehart days and early on when it came to Campbellsville. But what is the niche, the role of a Christian school in the midst of a rural area, but a growth center? Campbellsville is about 10, 12,000, Taylor County about 25,000. You have 2 school districts, a private university that's Christ-centered as well. Where does KCA fit into all that? And where is that niche, if that makes sense?
It does make sense, because that's my question. When I took this job, I said, I don't understand why your classrooms aren't overflowing, and I have to find out why. So I have to find that niche market for them. And I think people need to know it's affordable in our child care program. So bring them and we will love them. 7:30 to 5:30, we have someone there ready to watch your kids year round. And then in kindergarten through 8, if you want a program where your child is going to be taught how to read, how to write, how to cipher, add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and have it integrated with biblical language, biblical philosophy, to understand that this is important work, but our greater work is to share that gospel. That's our niche. That's what people need to know. I think they need to know that we're here for you. Join us, be a part of what we're doing.
Now, you do draw from some other counties?
We do. We draw from Adair County and Greene County. And probably another county that I'm not aware of.
Those would, I'm sure, they'd be the main 2.
Right.
Others.
And I run 2 vans every day. We're driving kids, back and forth every day. And it's, once people experience KCA, they love it. And there's such strong support in this community for it, because you need a choice. And how many Kentucky counties have a choice?
Right.
Not many.
Right.
So for this area to have a choice of school, is a great and wonderful thing.
Now, what are the admission requirements for a student to be admitted?
Well, they're pretty sweet. All you need to do is believe in Jesus Christ, and you're in. So, it's very important to us that families who come and join the work that we're doing at Kentucky Christian Academy believe that Jesus Christ is God's Son, and that He was sent here, and He is the way, the truth, and the life. And we work together on that mission. We share that common mission, and it's that common bond that moves us forward.
So anyone coming in will know that his or her child will receive as you said, a biblically based, Christ-centered education.
Right.
The reading, writing, and arithmetic, as they say, and all involved with knowledge and learning. And by the way, I was raised in a very conservative home, very traditional home, very small rural church, very small rural school district. But I was never taught that there was a contradiction between knowledge and our faith. And, that we as Christians should pursue knowledge.
Right.
And should be academically trained and reach our very best
Correct.
Potential.
Absolutely. Right.
In part to defend the faith.
Well,
to be prepared to defend the faith.
What's funny is I was tasked with writing a commercial for radio, and I was like, and it just kept coming to me, and the first line I said was, KCA is creating warriors for Christ. That's truly our mission. Whatever work you choose to do is of great value, but your true work is to share the gospel of Jesus Christ and build that kingdom and let people know what the truth is and how they can share in that. So creating warriors for Christ, and our sports mascot is a warrior.
Right.
So put on the armor of God is the moniker that goes with that, and I feel like that's very true. And parents and families who desperately want that for their child, if their child is frustrated or bullied or needs more time to complete work or is bored and gets the work done, they have a choice. You know, they have that option to come to KCA, and we can speed it up or slow it down.
Right.
But keep it respectful in that community of that classroom.
Now, KCA is not controlled by any one particular church or denomination, correct?
Correct.
Explain that.
Well, as I stated before, to be a part of KCA, you need to be a believer in Christ. So you need to be an active Christian in your church, whatever Christian denomination that is. We have children from every denomination, and it's wonderful. All of us learning about Jesus' love and God's wisdom together. I had a gathering of local pastors before the school year started. And I had about 15 of them show up.
Good.
And we spoke and we talked, and I said, here's what I need from you. And they said, here's what we're going to give you. And one of them, Father Sanju from Our Lady of Perpetual Help, said, this is beautiful. He goes, you standing as a Catholic, leading this Christian school, and all of us of different faiths sitting around this table, you know, in the common knowledge that we share one Lord, you know, and we serve one Lord. He goes, this is a beautiful thing. And I think that's what KCA is. We're kind of the example to the world, if you want. You know, I told the students on the first day of school, I want people to see KCA as that light shining on the hill. I want them to say, what the heck? Why are those people so happy over there, you know? I told them the key word for the year was joy. We were made for joy. It's a joyous thing to share God's love.
I've been recently preaching on that very thing.
Oh, yeah?
The joy of our salvation, the joy of our faith.
Right.
And making sure we recover it if we've lost it.
Exactly. Yes.
And so many Christians act like they've lost it for whatever reasons.
Right.
And there certainly is that compelling need, regardless of denomination.
Correct.
To show the joy. How can we appeal to a secular world if we are not joyful?
I agree.
And show that joy. And joy and happiness are different. They're different.
I used to have parents say, I just want my child to be happy. Yeah. And I was like, really? Yeah. Because I want my child to be in heaven.
Yeah. Happiness is a momentary emotion.
Correct.
Right. And joy is something that it's really the peace that passes understanding in Jesus Christ. And I'll go to preaching because, as you know, I am a preacher here.
Well, joy is the thing that makes you smile.
It really does.
When it's a bad day.
And that's our desire here at Campbellsville University.
Yeah.
You know, our school is in the Baptist tradition, but we're increasingly diverse, and we have folks from all faiths. We also have people from no faith. And our hope and joy is that we share Christ with them while they're here, and we're unapologetic in doing so.
I think that's the key, unapologetic.
Right. But doing it in a joyful, gracious, loving way. Now, is it too late at this point as we do this interview? We're a few weeks into the school year. Can people come in midway through a term, or is there a deadline and a hard, fast deadline to get in, and you can't get in again until another deadline?
Not yet. Not yet, and no. We are constantly enrolling students, you know, and maybe you don't know you need KCA until you experience another classroom, and you're like, you know, he's just not doing well, or she's frustrated, or I wish there was a way to improve her focus and her abilities. And then you kind of like, what else is out there? Well, KCA is out there. And we can take students K through 8 all during the school year. Our preschool program runs year round. So we are constantly enrolling students in our preschool program. So
I'm sure there are those who say, but the cost, we can't afford the cost of going to a private school. Are you able to help families that may not have the full ability to pay? Is there any assistance available?
There is. There is financial aid available. It's a very simple form that you complete and show, I think, the first page of your tax return. It's viewed by a very small committee, kept very discreet, and then awards are made to the tuition. We are blessed that once I said, I need a fund, a financial aid fund. And I got 4 or 5 checks within the next week.
Good.
Because they want us to reach out to those in need. And those who think they can't, those are the ones that I want to call me if they need me, come on out. You know, we will make it happen.
Well, the traditional thought about private schools, whether it's Campbellsville University or KCA or St. A, is that it's just the rich and elite.
Right.
Which, in fact, is not the case.
No, we are working
Exactly.
people,
Absolutely.
working families every day.
And the same is true here at Campbellsville. About 60% of our freshman class are first-generation college students. So, you know, we work hard, and you know exactly that financial aid becomes essential to recruiting the students you need.
So I don't want that to be a reason someone doesn't reach out. Happy to have those conversations.
You mentioned you met with the pastors, and as I shared with you coming on the air, our church has been supporting KCA through our budget consecutively for about 25 years, and we intend to continue.
Thank you for that.
What can churches do? What can pastors do? What can people out in the community do to help your mission?
When I met with those pastors, I said, you know, I really want three things. I want your time. I want your time spent in prayer for us, for our students, our families, and our staff. I want your time because I want you to come to our chapel and share your message with our students. I want you to come and have lunch. Just pop in. Come anytime and have lunch with us. Come and sit down in the teacher's lounge and refresh these teachers and rejuvenate them and lift them up. I want your talent. What do you do? What do you do that you can share with our kids and show them that men of Christ also embroider or play basketball or skateboard or play music? Bring your talents to us. And then I want your treasure. I want your money. I want your money to support those families in your churches that you know need us, that you know are in that moment of crisis. And if their child were in a smaller nurturing environment, it would really help that family. I want you to reach out to me and say, look, our church will bring this much to the table, and then we'll try and match that and get that family who's in crisis or frustrated with where they are to a place where they can really help that child grow and learn.
You don't want me playing basketball, and you don't want me skateboarding. That's a little, I'm past that age, and I can play piano, organ, sing.
See?
I can preach. You know, I'm a Baptist preacher, so, you know,
well,
all those kind of things I can do.
You can come do all of those things.
Okay.
We're going to possibly have a KCA Has Talent in the spring.
Oh, my goodness.
So we will be reaching out to you to see what you will be bringing to the table.
Now, how do people go about learning more about KCA? If they have questions or want to come visit or just want to learn a little bit about it.
We have a website, kcawarriors.com. We also have a phone number, 789-2462, or come by and say, hey, I saw you on that wonderful TV show with that handsome man, and I want to come tour. And we will show you around, myself or the admissions counselors, Delisa Knopp Squires. I always call her. I always get her name mixed up because she was a Squires before she was a Knopp. But she will absolutely tour you, share with you everything that we have and how to make it work for your family.
Now, how is KCA governed?
KCA is governed by a board of directors, and I report up to them. And it's a 9-member board right now.
Who are some of the members? I'm sure our folks would
know.
You just happen to have those?
I knew as soon as I started naming people that I would forget someone.
Right.
And they're amazing. Through the interview process, I got to know a lot of them.
Sure.
And then as I've worked in the building these months since June, nothing but support from them. Our present board co-chairs are Heather Wise and Abby Coyle.
Okay.
And then they replaced Joey Bott and Benson Sexton.
Okay.
Peter Degree has been wonderful with the building and Blevins Construction. Aaron Charlo, Dottie Davis, as you know, from the university, Sean Horde, and Tiffany Kessler. All 9 people who are there every time I call, every time I text, looking for a solution to a problem. They come, will roll up their sleeve. Max Wise came out and moved furniture from one end of the school to the other for us. So those are good people.
Yeah, that's a fine group of people.
Yes.
It really is. And it makes me feel old because I knew most of them when they were younger, much younger,
Yes.
when they were in school. But that's an excellent group and a very diverse group.
Yes.
And represent some of the up-and-coming leaders, well, they're already leaders in our community. Do you have additional plans? We're down to a couple of minutes that you'd like to share.
Well, you know, I talked to our middle schoolers. We have a class of 12, and they encouraged me to look for a high school option for them. So there is an interest there. So I am looking into a way of providing a high school program for them. I'm not 100% sure what it would look like right now. My work at Johns Hopkins allowed me to kind of think out of the box to meet the needs of high school students. So I've kind of doing the same thing here. And then to travel all the way to the other end of the building, I'm kind of thinking about a 2-year-old classroom. I said, look into it because we've got to meet the needs of these working families. Working families need good child care.
Right.
And people who will love and care for their children. And I'm kind of looking at that too. So
It's exciting.
I know, isn't it?
Repeat, once again, we're about out of time,
Okay.
the telephone number and website.
KCAwarriors.com
Okay.
and 270-789-2462
Okay. And you're located?
on Old Columbia
Okay.
Road.
Go to Cox Interiors.
Yeah.
If you're going out of town, take a right.
That's
And
correct.
It's on the left.
Yes.
So this is John Chowning with Alicia Riggs,
Thank you, sir.
principal and administrator at Kentucky Christian Academy. Students can still be enrolled at KCA. Thank you for watching and being with us for Dialogue on Public Issues.